you've purchased a embroidery font online, you can bring it into Floriani Lettering Master and convert it into a keyboard font. And by keyboard font, I mean when you're working with this text tool, you can create text and come up here and type in the letters you want and hit apply. That's a keyboard letter in the font. So if you buy a font from online that isn't formatted and able to install into the software automatically, you would have to like bring in each letter, arrange them, and you wouldn't be able to just type in the letters you want in a box. So what I'm going to show you how to do is to take a font, embroidery font that you may have purchased online, and turn it into a keyboard font so that you can use this text box and just type the letters you want, hit apply, and it automatically create those letters in the sequence it needs to. To do this, I need to go to create a new font section because I need to be in the font creator of the software. In previous videos, we showed you how to turn a true type font into an embroidery font, and that was utilizing this icon right here. We're going to go to the icon to the right beside it, and we're going to bring in those designs to turn it into a keyboard font. And to show you kind of what you can do here is, when I just hover over it, you can see that it says add one character from a file. But notice that there's a little arrow next to it. If I click the arrow, it says add uppercase characters from a file and add lowercase characters from a file. What this allows you to do is, if the designer of the font created a file for each font and then named it like A, B, C, D, you could actually have the software automatically map it for you and assign a keyboard to it. So I'm going to show you kind of how this works. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say I want to add some lowercase characters from a font that I'd purchased. So I'm going to have to navigate to software where those files are found, and you'll see that I have this smiley face individual letters, and I can go to this smiley face, this lowercase letters, and notice that even though it says that it's a capital A, if I click on it you can see that it is in fact a lowercase a. And if I hold down shift, I can select all letters at the same time and then click open. And when I do that, because each design was named according to the letter, it automatically assigned the key for it, and this is where the key is signified here. So you have the key, each letter matches. The system automatically assigned those because the name of that letter, the design for that letter, was named appropriately. So again, I'll show you how that is. So I'm going to go to the lowercase because it was named A.WAF, B.WAF, C. And this could be any format, it doesn't have to be WAF. But because it's named A, B, C, D, each one individually, the software is able to say, okay, that's the A. I'm going to automatically assign the A key on the keyboard to it. So next, I'm going to show you how to bring in an individual letter. Because in this specific font right here, I don't have an uppercase version of it, just a lowercase. And so, but if you still want to use an upper and lowercase, you can, but it'll look identical. So I'll show you how that is. Add uppercase letters. And so if I go to this same font and I go to the uppercase, I can select each of them, and because they're named appropriately, I can choose open. And some of the advantages of doing this is if you don't remember that your font didn't come with an upper and lower case, if you typed in an uppercase A or hit shift and A on your keyboard to make an uppercase A in the software, because I've assigned that uppercase A to this symbol, it'll still generate it. Like if I try to do an uppercase A in the font creator section here, or in the regular design area, if I didn't have something assigned to an uppercase A, it just wouldn't show up. So even though these are identical, the upper and lower case, by putting both of them in here, I don't have to worry about having an issue when I go to add lettering to a design. And so let's see here. You'll notice that I see a couple things happening here. Sometimes these can be easily fixed, and this is something that's kind of a higher level, but this is an I and a J right here, but you can't tell it's kind of off the screen. So if I right click, notice that the edit character baseline is actually grayed out. I can't edit the baseline, and the reason for that is that over here it says use segments for extents. Well, if you've watched any of the other videos, when you create a font, you have the ability to add an outline, the embroidery font, and also the extents box. Well, if I right click on this letter and go to edit character, in the sequence view, you're going to notice that I have the satin stitch and I have the artwork, but I don't have the extents box. That was the box that kind of went around the letter, and you'll have to watch the other video if you are not sure what I'm talking about. But because there is not an extents box in here, I'm going to come over here and uncheck this and just watch what happens to those letters. Now it brings them back up, and now if I right click on it, I can edit the character baseline. So that's just a tidbit if you're ever working with a design, if you're bringing one in, because it didn't have that box around it, I had to uncheck that box. If it didn't have outlines, so if I right clicked on it and went to edit character, and let's say it just had the satin stitches but it didn't have this artwork outline, same thing, I could uncheck this contains outlines, and that just helps in, you know, mapping this font. So you want to pay attention to those things. If you forget, you make sure you watch this video on how to map fonts that you purchase, and it will help you get going with that. So I have these letters up. I brought in uppercase and I brought in lowercase. So let's see what else I can do. So I'm going to click this and do one character at a time because I've already brought in the lower and uppercase. So I'm going to go back here and I'm going to find these numbers right here, and I'm going to just bring in the letter 0. So because, you know, I don't have this in here, I'm doing one at a time. When I hit open, it's going to ask me what key I want to assign to that number. So I'm going to choose 0 on the keyboard, not O, but 0, and I'm going to choose OK, and notice that it brought it in. So that's how you can bring in one at a time. To show you that again, I'm going to click on this, and this time I'll choose the 1, hit open, and now I need to press 1 on my keyboard to assign that number to this embroidery file, and you can see that it brought it in. And those are the different ways that you can map or bring in embroidery fonts. And there is a second way, and in the next video we'll show you how to do it utilizing this area of the software. So make sure you watch that video as well.